Welcome to video number 2 of the 4-week Shred Action Plan video content series. We have the what, when, and how of all of the nutrition side of things, but make sure you have watched the prelude video where we discuss and work out exactly how many calories you should actually be eating. This is purely how to make it all happen. All right, starting from the top. We have protein, salad, veggie, and fats, also carbohydrates as our main macronutrients, okay? We kind of put the salad and vegetables in a different section, fiber or micronutrients. We don't really count them as a carbohydrate unless it is a rice, a sweet potato, quinoa, or any of the main heavy oats, main heavy carb sources. Things such as zucchini, capsicum, tomato, we really just consider them as micronutrients or salad and veggies for the context of this one. So every meal is either broken up into protein, salad or veg, and fats, or protein and fats, or protein, salad and veg, and carbohydrates. Couple of things going on here. Every single meal, we need to have a protein source during this 4-week shred. That means we wouldn't ever have a meal just of, say, oats and peanut butter. You'd have carbohydrates and fats. We would need to have protein in there for it to be an actual meal that you'll have on this 4-week shred. We want to make sure also that we're separating our fats and carbs when we can. So one meal may be oats and protein powder, carbs and protein, or it could be protein powder and nuts. So shake and nuts, that would be protein and fats. When we combine protein, carbs, and fats, sometimes it just is a little bit too much for the system and our metabolism, and we don't digest it as much as possible, and we're more likely to be storing extra calories. So it's not a massive rule of thumb, but it is something that you can do if you're able to work it into your meals. This is an oversimplification of pretty much what to eat. We're assuming that you know what is protein. Meats, even the vegetarian sources such as our legumes and mushrooms and everything, we need to usually have a couple of those, and that is a separate video. Salad and vegetables, we all know those, hopefully. And fats, we know a good fat. The only unhealthy fats really are fats that are cooked, becoming a trans fat. So every meal should be broken up into these 3 options here. When? So prepping Sunday and Monday, or just, Sunday and Wednesday, or just on the Sunday. Bulk prepping. This is one of the most fundamental parts of making it all happen with nutrition. If we don't have the consistency of these meals up here, whether it's the macronutrients, so the protein, carbs, and fats amounts, the total calories, or the actual meals themselves, whether they're healthy or unhealthy, we need to be putting healthy meals in front of us as much as possible. Now, I'm going to get into the time poor stuff at the very end of the video, and we'll make sure that we've covered everything there in terms of time. But this is seriously the best way to save time and to ensure you'll actually get results. So, number of meals per day. This obviously depends on how we're going to be splitting up your total calories worked out in the first video. Make sure you've watched it. The more meals you have during the day, the more meals you have to actually prep and then hold yourself accountable for. Personally, when I'm doing a shred, I like to split the meals up into 3. That way I can just prep 3 meals, making sure that I still hit my calorie targets and my macronutrient targets, but it actually makes it easier to prep it at the beginning of the week. When we're hitting a higher calorie target, then we can go to the 5 meals a day, because it's a little bit hard to put a high calorie target into just 3 meals. They end up being 3 massive meals. But for most of us on the shred, we really can get by with just 3 meals, as long as, again, we're hitting that calorie target and the macronutrient breakdown. If you are in the routine of having 4 or 5 meals, then I want you to continue that. Obviously, just make sure you hit those targets and make sure you're keeping yourself accountable for all 4 or 5 meals. Number of hours per week, that's given, so how many meals you're having each day. If you have to have 5 meals, then it's obviously going to be more time in the kitchen. The Sunday, or the Wednesday prep, I usually put aside 2 hours or 1.5 hours, depending on what kind of cook up it's going to be. And then on the Wednesday, that could be in the morning or the afternoon, putting a similar amount of time into it. A bit more onto the how now. So Tupperware, big or small containers, make sure you have a heap of Tupperware, because when you make this food in bulk, you're then going to need to obviously either have one big container for your protein, or you have the small containers. So you have your Monday lunch, Tuesday lunch, Thursday lunch, whatever it is, in the different containers, and you just simply have to grab it out of the fridge. The number of pots, pans, and everything you have going at the same time, multitasking, is really important. To save the most amount of time, what I've been doing recently is just doing one pot cook-ups. So that would be adding some flavor, the garlic and onions in the bottom of the pot, cooking that up, and then adding in a protein, so alternating between beef mince, turkey mince, chicken mince, or any kind of protein really, and then adding the vegetables, and also adding carbohydrates as well, so the rice or quinoa can just be chucked straight into the pot. So that's probably the quickest way to prepare a whole bunch of meals. You can also use or utilize the oven as well at the same time. So if you weren't having rice or quinoa that can be done in the pot with the meat and everything, then you can put sweet potato or regular potato in the oven just before starting the cook. So that's obviously cooking while you are cooking the protein and the vegetables. And the same goes for vegetables as well. We can also put them in the oven. Getting your head around this in the kitchen, it may seem a bit daunting to begin with, but just like everything, the more you do it, the better at it you get. I've definitely dropped my time at this new place where we're living now in the kitchen. In the beginning, it just took me ages just to figure out where everything was, and kind of have that efficiency in the kitchen, but definitely cut my time down now by at least half an hour, just knowing where everything is and kind of getting the right amount of equipment and everything for the particular kitchen that you have, or the space that you're allowed to have. For those who are time poor, the alternative is, or partial alternative, is My Muscle Chef, YouFoods, HelloFresh, Fit Meals Australia. The only downside to using these food providers is that you're not going to be getting the exact targets that you need for your meals, and sometimes you'll be avoiding that protein and fat and carbohydrate rule too, or you're simply just not getting enough, like I said, of the protein or the carbohydrates, whatever it is. So if you are using these meals, say you're doing it for your lunch, you just need to make sure then that your breakfast and your dinner will make up for the calories either missed or that you went over in these meals, because they will most always have carbohydrates, and a lot of us are going to be on this meal here or this meal here, where we're just having protein, salad and veg, or fats, or just protein and fats. Really, this option here, unless you just don't cook the carbohydrate portion, is going to involve carbohydrates as well. So it's very rare that you can do the meal planning with these guys for breakfast, lunch and dinner. All right guys, I'm just going to do a quick summary now of each section here, and please do hit me up with any questions that you have. Any question will be added then to the thread, and we can kind of work some things out together. So every meal that you make will be broken up into protein, salad and veg and fats, or protein and fats, or protein, salad and veg and carbohydrates. When prepping on the Sunday and the Wednesday, only takes 2 hours to 2.5 hours. Meals per day, of course, is going to depend on how many meals you want to be consuming, between 3, 4 and 5 meals for everybody. Number of hours per week, obviously then will correlate with that. Another thing for when, think of it as a dedication of your week. Say you come to the gym 5 times a week, or you work out 5 times a week. That's essentially 5 hours that you spend on the training side of things. Now, I'm sure you've heard some people say before, it's like 60% nutrition and 40% training or something like that. Abs are made in the kitchen, all of that. They're not lying, that is true. But remember our transformation triangle: 100% training, 100% nutrition, and 100% recovery. We need to be covering all the bases, but that also means putting enough time into the other things. We don't all need to be doing yoga every single day. 1 to 2 sessions of stretching can get you by with the training that we do. With nutrition though, it really does require 1 to 2 hours in the kitchen each week, and the trade-off is huge. If you're not spending anywhere near that, then that's probably does coincide with your shred results in the past. We just simply need to put more time into nutrition. Work out what you need to do, watching the prelude video and this video, and then just simply put the time into it, shopping, prepping, and eating, the fun part. Make sure you have lots of Tupperware containers, get everything sorted before you actually start the cooking process. And of course, there's the alternatives down here. And if you want any advice with which provider to go with, please ask me individually. All right, guys, looking forward to video number 3. We're going through the top 3 training protocols. All right, see you then.